leverage on the incoming national government because unlike Darien Fenton,
Order.
I'm not in cloud cuckoo land.
Member's time has expired. Michael Woodhouse.
Speaker, I'm very pleased to take a call on the Spending Cap People's Veto bill, a bill that has come to this House because of the confidence and supply agreement between the National Party and the ACT Party. And I just want to say that this is a government that delivers on its confidence and supply promises. And Darien Fenton can wax lyrical all she likes about the fact that this took some time to get to the House. And I'm sure there are many reasons for that. But it got here. And I want to contrast that with the confidence and supply agreements that the previous Labour government had with its minority partners, and in particular the United Future Party. Because I know of at least one example of where not only was a confidence and supply agreement not followed through in one parliament, but at least two and maybe three. And I draw attention to the House's attention to the particular agreement that the Labour Party had with the United Future Party on a particular issue in relation to support for private health insurance, which was in the confidence and supply agreement between the Labour Party and United Future, but was so dismissed by the Labour government that by the time Pete Hodgson became Minister of Health, he didn't even know it existed. Absolutely no knowledge of it whatsoever. So I refute any of those accusations that this government has not met completely its undertakings under the confidence and supply agreement. And there are many things that I will agree with that Rodney Hyde says. One of them, while I agree that this is one part of the, quote, response to the need for greater fiscal prudence, end quote, I would suggest, Mr. Speaker, that the best response to that need will be the future election of a national-led government and the appointment of Bill English as Minister of Finance, because it was only then that any attention was drawn to any sort of notion of fiscal constraint. And we can play the game of my statistics bigger than your statistic, and I think Ruth Dyson tried to indicate that there was no problem with government spending under the Labour government. But there's no doubt that government spending increased dramatically during the period of the Labour government. Crown spending went up 63% from 01 to the last Michael Cullen budget of 08-09, and even adjusted for population growth, that increase was 51.5%, more than double CPI growth during the same period. And at the same time, the tradable sector was being strangled. And I also want to just draw attention to the comments made by the Maori Party MP Rahui Katani when she said that this was simply a means to stop the wealthy from paying their fair share in tax. Well, I draw that member and the House's attention to the data presented by the Minister of Finance, which has got quite a bit of airtime, I have to say, on who is really paying income tax in this country. And thanks to the fiscal policies put in place by this government, 44% of households are paying no effective income tax after wealth transfers such as working for families and housing supplements. And that 10% of those houses are actually paying 71% of net taxation. When you take it out to 17% of households, they comprise 97% of all net income tax paid in this country. I think that's fair. But I refute any claim by any member of this House that this is a means to stop the wealthy from paying their fair share in tax. They already are. Now, I want to come back to government spending over that period of the Labour government, and Dr Russell Norman implored the House that somehow this was necessary to maintain health and education services. And on the issue of health services, he made a very interesting comment. He said that the private sector existed only because the public sector existed. Well, I think there might be some merit in that argument, but I would also argue the counterfactual, and that is the public sector exists because of the private sector, especially in the areas of surgery, anaesthesia, radiology and endoscopy. I had the case of a surgeon who was considering working at Dunedin Hospital 3 or 4 years ago, who, when told what the salary was at Dunedin Hospital, said, well, that's pretty good for a monthly salary, and was then told that that was the annual salary, to which he ran back to New York from whence he came. So it is increasingly the case that the surgical and anaesthetist fraternity see their core business as their private business and view their service to the public sector in the same way lawyers view legal aid. So there was a need to increase that, but the fact that productivity went up not one jot during that period is a blight on that government. So in summary, Mr. Speaker, I think this is a sound bill that is worthy of the Finance and Expenditure Committee's consideration, and if by the electorate's good grace I'm back here after November the 26th and still a member of the Finance and Expenditure Committee, I'd be very happy to listen to the submissions on the bill, and I strongly support it.
Members, this debate has concluded. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Ayes have it. Party votes called for. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
57 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
43 votes opposed.
Green Party.
9 opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
5 votes in favour.
Māori Party.
3 votes opposed.
Progressive.
1 vote opposed.
United Future.
1 vote opposed.
Mana.
1 vote opposed.
Honourable Chris Carter.
1 opposed.
Any other votes?
Order. Could I ask the Labor Party to recast your vote, please?
43 votes opposed.
Before the clerk, does the Labor Party have 43 votes to cast?
Oh, Chris. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, 42 votes opposed.
42 votes opposed? Well, order. While there's a bit of order. While there's a bit of hilarity over this, votes are taken in silence. Members, the ayes are 62, the noes are 58. The motion is agreed to.
Spending cap, People's Veto Bill, first reading.
Would the Minister like to move?
Speaker, I move that this bill go to the Finance and Expenditure Select Committee.
No, there's a proper wording. I'll ask the member to.
Sorry, Mr.
The Honourable
Speaker, I
Rodney
just lost my
Hyde.
papers here. Mr. Speaker, I've lost my wording. I do apologise. Give me 1 second here. I was so taken aback by the arithmetical abilities of the Labor Party.
No. We'll just stick to the motion.
I move that the spending cap People's Bill be considered by the Finance and Expenditure Select Committee.
No, I just asked the member to read it again. It's actually the People's Veto Bill.
I move that the spending cap People's Veto Bill be considered by the Finance and Expenditure Select Committee.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Call on Government Order of the Day number 5.